Hello again. All right, for our 5-2 assignment 5-2 part B or part 2 in Traces of the Trade, what role did racialization play in the creation and maintenance of industry and commerce in Bristol, Rhode Island? And to what extent do you believe the advantages and disadvantages caused by racialization may still be in effect in Bristol, Rhode Island today? In this video, what issues held significant meaning, raised questions, or stirred strong emotions within you? I felt that was a very good movie. I had never heard of Bristol, Rhode Island. Never heard of the Wolf family. What an interesting name. And anyway, I thought that, first of all, I thought it was very courageous of the young lady who did the movie to actually attempt it. I'm glad that God pricked her heart while she was in seminary, and she reached out to her family to take this journey. However, yeah, it was very sad to know that the whole town profited on the backs of slaves, on the institution of slavery. Banks were formed. I'm sure the schools, people invested money and got big returns from that institution. And yeah, so for that to have continued, even to today, there's still companies that were built on that money. I thought that was very telling. And very, very sad. What struck me profoundly was the young African children. A couple of things. Young African children who questioned the gentleman about, did he pay a lot of money? And he said no, because in some cases I think they traded a couple of handkerchiefs and some rum for a bunch of people. That was very sad. And the little girl asked, were they ashamed? And he said, yes, he was. Also, the complicity of the church, that struck me very profoundly. That Portuguese church on top of the slave pen. You can imagine them worshiping and baptizing everybody, changing their names. Just kind of made a mockery of Christianity. Also, I thought some things were a little funny when they came to Africa and the people were selling them goods and they just seemed to be, take all my money. So just the guilt that they felt. It was a very profound movie. I do think that was interesting that they were told that they should talk to other white people and kind of make them aware. And I like the fact that they did dialogue quite a bit about it. So I think it was a great movie. I wish more churches would show it. I do like that they did come full circle, come back to Bristol, and come to the church that the family had contributed so much money to, and actually have people kind of come to a point of repentance. So that was very powerful. But it was a very, very stirring movie. In so B, in the difference between us, the power of illusion. To what extent do you believe the illusion of race contributes to the creation and perpetration of perceptions that lead to racialization? It definitely continues even today. People still believe a lot of these things shown in the movie. It has not influenced my thinking about people. I do remember being in a course in college. We're talking late 70s, early 80s, where they showed a movie. I think it was like a social studies. I forget what kind of class it was, but it basically implied that Africans had not evolved at the same rate as the whites had evolved. And it showed Africans in a very, very worst light. And I was so furious. I went to the professor and spoke to him. I could hardly get the words out of my mouth about how racist I mean, I thought, first of all, I was talking about evolution and that we haven't evolved. So that was very troubling. And that wasn't that long ago, the early 80s, at least in my mind. But yeah, so that kind of thinking is still very much alive. And we saw it in the sports world. I think it's still alive in the sports world. But I think that there are biology has proven that there are small differences, but I think when you see kits like 23andMe and Ancestry, where people can find where they're from, I think there might be a lot of confusion from that because it says, well, I'm from Nigeria and all this, and I'm from this place, and so I think that it still leads people to think that there's a greater difference than there really is because of what we see on television. So provide a conclusion and summary. Describe how the content from Emerson and Smith and the two videos will affect the way you conduct ministry in the future. I thought the biggest takeaway for me from Emerson was that people really do not have the tools to see the institutionalized racism or the racialization that I see so prevalent in America. Only last week, actually, it was Thursday, I had someone call me at work, and a young man, African American man, who was just so distraught over the racism he was experiencing at work. And, I tried to talk to him about it and just, tell him, yes, I've experienced those same things as well. And, but for people not to see it, I thought that they really could see it and they just were not being truthful. But to realize that they do not have the tools in their toolkit to actually see it kind of makes a difference for me and helps me to be more compassionate in realizing that. So I think it's helpful to know that we do have to get together with people from other races. There has to be reconciliation, and I believe that that is the part where we need God to help us with that. But I think these are very useful, and I really enjoyed everything I'm learning. Thank you.